Memphis, Tennessee is a lot more than just Beale Street and Graceland. Its southern comfort, along with its southern accent, allows you to enjoy everything about it. Like any other city, it does have its flaws. It does have a big homeless population. The sushi wasn't the best. It's known for catfish, but yet the catfish did not taste appetizing to me. And there are a lot of spots about it that do feel a bit grotty, to say the least. Despite its flaws, Memphis, Tennessee is a definite spot for you to visit, and I promise that most people at the very least would have a good time going there. The first thing you hear about Memphis, Tennessee is without question Beale Street. That street is basically the Bourbon Street of Memphis, Tennessee, and if you've ever been to New Orleans or seen my New Orleans videos, you would know what Bourbon Street is. Both streets have a lot of similarities. You're both allowed to drink alcohol on the street, and the street is closed down to cars, meaning that you don't have to worry about being hit by a car when you bar hop to bar to bar to bar, listen to live blues in every bar, and watch acrobatics jump over people. Now, not exactly a part of the city in itself, but this is my adventure throughout all 50 states, and based on my personal outgoing, here are my parents. They finally visited me in a city. About time. I begged them for over a year, and they came to Memphis with me. It was their 40th anniversary, and they had a really good time. What is a part of the city is what's called the pyramid. And the pyramid is exactly what it sounds like. It's a pyramid, like Egypt, only in Memphis, and only three things. One, there's a hotel section that I did not really get a good glimpse of, but there's a hotel in there. There is a Bass Pro Shop section, and it's, at least me personally, the biggest Bass Pro Shops I've ever been into. They have everything. Crossbows, to guns, to camouflage clothing, to toys for the kids, to boats. They have ponds with live fish in there. They have a downstairs restaurant, which is right next to a bowling alley that has a live bar. They have upstairs where me and my parents went to, called the Lookout, more of a fine dining type of section. And the view was amazing, along with the really good food that they served there. Speaking of the food, the barbecue in Memphis, Tennessee is top notch. I went to a restaurant called Marlowe's, which is a restaurant Elvis Presley used to eat at. And the ribs were the most fall off the bone I have ever had. And I wish someone recorded me doing such. It was like eating wet paper towels. Like, you grab the bone and the meat just slid right off. It was like separating wet paper. That's how tender the meat was. They literally smoked that meat for 16 hours before they serve it to you. And I must say, they have very good taste down there in Memphis for their food. Speaking of good taste, they also have good taste in their museums. I mean, I was in the Memphis Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Very interesting. And they have a lot of memorabilia of legendary things that a lot of Memphis blues players have, from B.B. King to Elvis. And it was a very nice exhibit and very well made. Just look at the photos and videos that I'm showing of you. Also, keep in mind, they also have what's called the Civil Rights Museum that discussed all the way back in terms of how black slavery started, how it started mostly, and how that diluted throughout history involving black people, slavery, segregation, Jim Crow, so on and so forth, and how certain things still resonate today, and how there's optimism at the end of the tunnel. It's a very nice museum. They made a museum out of what's called the Lorraine Hotel, and they took that hotel and they turned it into a museum, and they did a pretty damn good job. It was a really nice museum, so if you're into civil rights, it's well worth the visit. Another thing that's well worth the visit are the drag shows in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, I must say, Memphis was the first city that introduced me to the LGBTQ community, in the sense that, I know this might sound like I've been living under a rock my whole life, but just hear me out. I guess you can say I was taking the rules a bit too literally, in the sense that I had no idea that you didn't have to be gay to go to a gay bar. Had no idea, and that was the reason why I never went. So a girl from Memphis a year before this review was made actually introduced me to that life. And I'm like, oh wow, you don't have to be gay? Huh, never knew that. And that's how I started going to gay bars and such. And as you can see by the video clips, these drag shows, if it's anything like Memphis, are absolutely incredible. LGBTQ community in Memphis, just like Portland, Maine, is very friendly. And they have drag shows down here. And I must say, these girls rocked. I mean, they knew what the hell they're doing and they knew how to play the role. I mean, it's basically like a beauty pageant with lip syncing and a mini concert all rolled into one. And I must say, like I said, top-notch talent. Speaking of top-notch, Graceland. Enough said right there. The home of Elvis Presley, the king of rock himself. Graceland. Now, they don't allow too much video at Graceland. Unless you're outside, you cannot record inside. So most of the things that you will see are from my TikTok involving the pictures that I've posted. Graceland is literally the Disney World of Elvis Presley. You see everything involving this man. The only exception would be if, let's say, for example, was his room, which he did not allow anyone up there. In fact, rumor is Nicolas Cage actually spent $1.7 million just to see the room of Elvis. That's how sacred Elvis's room was. Also, there were just minor things that you don't know about. You don't know about his toothpaste, and you don't know about what public bathroom he ever used, because you know everything else, okay? You know everything, from the fact that he liked Dr. Pepper a lot, Gatorade a lot, okay? His ranch had live animals like horses, for example, mostly horses. And he was very much into law enforcement. He had firearms in his house. He loved law enforcement. He had gun licenses. That I didn't know. I did not know he was a 7th degree black belt in karate, and he was called a Karate King back then. I had no idea. Guys, I could do literally just a review just on Graceland. Graceland was just phenomenal. The only bad thing about Graceland, certain things, the lighting may not be the best when you're talking about taking pictures of it. Certain pictures I had to take at an angle because my reflection and shadow would have been in the picture just a little bit too much. Outside of that, Graceland's phenomenal. Recommend the visit. So worth it. So go there. So amazing. Elvis Presley, you were the king. Overall, ladies and gentlemen, go to Memphis, Tennessee. Yes, I'll admit there are certain spots that are a bit gritty and grotty compared to the cleanliness of major market towns, let's just say. And yes, the seafood is not the best there. And yes, on occasion, you will walk by a homeless person once or twice. But I must say, everything else outweighs the bad to the point where you want to go back again. I would love to go back again. From the barbecue to the museums to Graceland to just Beale Street alone, Memphis, Tennessee, well worth the visit. Thank you so much for allowing me to visit your city. I loved every second of it.